Our first task today is setting up a document before a studio session. The first step of that is going to be to remove viewports. Oftentimes, a PDF that's generated out of AutoCAD or MicroStation will contain untitled viewports. Viewports are zones in a drawing that use a scale that is different from a page scale. For CAD software, it's typically generated by things like border file references or other types of references in a sheet. When a PDF with viewports is opened in Bluebeam, it'll automatically prompt you to remove them because Bluebeam knows that viewports interfere with the program's measuring tools. Removing viewports will go a very long way in making sure things go smoothly for your reviewers. So before even getting into a session, someone with a full license will do this to set up the document in advance. Um, so when you'll get this automatic prompt, it says, would you like to remove viewports? Typically you will click yes. In this case, I'm going to click no because I want to show you how to do it manually in case you aren't prompted. On the left side where you have your tabs, you'll want to click on the thumbnails tab, which looks like 4 squares stacked on top of each other. At the top of this, oh, sorry, I meant the measuring tab, measurements, and it looks like a ruler. At the top of this tool set are your measuring tools if you have that fully licensed version of Bluebeam. And if you were to try to use them in this document, you'll see the viewports interfere with that, turning the whole page blue. Whenever I go to try to measure, all the viewports pop up and make it nearly impossible to put in a length, right? So in addition to that prompt, if it doesn't come up, you can remove viewports in the measurements tab, and then down at the bottom right is a symbol that looks like a trash can. You can drop that down and select clear all from document. And then you'll click yes to confirm. So when changes are made to a document outside of a studio session, let's say it's checked out of PMRS, an asterisk is going to appear at the top, kind of notifying you that there are unsaved changes in your document. So keep that in mind before ever closing a file. Just make sure that you're saving it and that asterisk isn't appearing. But we have some more changes to make. The next step is going to require that you have your NJDOT Bluebeam user profile loaded. So here's what that question was getting at. And actually in the chat, just to make sure that everyone has had a chance to download it, similar to Module 1, I'm going to, oops, messed that up. I'm going to add it to the chat for you to download. It is the NJDOT Bluebeam user.bpx. Should look like this in your chat in the Zoom meeting. So you'll hover on that and it'll say click to download. And you'll want to download that somewhere locally, either your desktop or your downloads file, anywhere that you're going to remember where it is very quickly. To import that profile, you'll go to this top tab all the way to the left where it says Review. And if you successfully imported it, just make sure that it is checked on this list down at Profiles, and make sure NJDOT Bluebeam user is checked. And if you had some trouble last time or didn't download the file, you can also go to Manage Profiles. To import the .bpx file that you just downloaded, you'll click Import and then navigate to where you saved it. You'll click on it and then click open. And I have mine loaded already, so um, I won't have to do that. After importing it, you can set it active by dropping down this top bar where it says active and selecting NJDOT Bluebeam user and then clicking OK. So hopefully everyone had that correct through module 1 and they're seeing this screen. It may actually have the Studio tab open. But the next step in your document preparation, as long as you have the profile, is going to be to save these columns into the document itself. So Bluebeam allows you to do that by clicking on Markups List, going to Columns, and then down to Manage Columns. I'll get a pop-up that says asking if I want to apply the column template, which I am wishing to do. You can confirm that your custom columns as part of the NJDOT profile are showing in the display list here. And once you do that, you can click OK. And now this markups list setup is going to be saved in the document. So when it's uploaded to the session, it's already there, because if it's in the session without these columns, you won't be able to adjust them. The last step, that is more of a preferred step. It is not a mandatory step because there are workarounds for individual reviewers. The page scales. Now I want to go to my thumbnails tab, which is the one with the 4 squares over on the left. Again, I'm looking at a document before it's been prepared for a studio session. So these thumbnails might look a little different from what we saw during module 1. And I just want to show you guys how we got there. So in module 1, I kind of zoomed into this index of sheets for a little bit, and it's going to play another role here. Typically, each of the types of sheets are going to have a matching page scale. So here from 3 to 6, we have construction plans. My goal here is to set the scale for some of these sheets. You can see in the thumbnails tab where it says scale not set for any of these sheets. If I don't know what scale the construction plans are at, I can use my bottom left button here in the navigation tab that says split vertical. When you hover on it, it looks like 2 windows next to each other. And that way I can keep my index of sheets open while I use this other side of it to navigate to my first construction page, and I'm going to look for my scale bar. So I see here it's 1 inch equals 20 feet. To set a scale for one or for multiple pages, you'll go to the bottom and click on where it says scale not set, or you can right click on any of the thumbnails, and the second option down would be to set scale. So in this case, again, I'm looking at my index of sheets. I know pages 3 to 6 are the construction plans, and those will be set up at 1 inch equals 20 feet. Instead of using calibrate, I always recommend putting in a custom input, just so you know everything is down to the 0.00 accuracy, I guess. And I'm going to type in here 1 inch equals 20 feet. And then I can choose my precision. But again, the important thing is that I enter my pages up here. Then I'll hit apply scale. You'll see that the scale has changed in the thumbnail set. And then my next set of sheets, I have my grading plans. So I'll look for a scale bar in those. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy here. And that one's going to be 1 inch equals 10 feet. So I can run the whole thing again and pick my pages, check again, 7 to 9. And I could even drop down my preset lists. And typically roadway plans are going to be in this vicinity, 1 to 10, 20, 30. And those are preset into Bluebeam already with a 1/4 foot accuracy. So that's the difference between using a preset or using a custom, um, where you can specify using feet instead of foot inches. Maybe if you're a bridge SME, you're going to want those foot inches. Um, but you can set the precision to zero point 0.1 or something, and now your scale is going to be set for the grading sheets. Another thing I'll note is these page labels. So 6 here is our page number, and then C6 layout, that's a page label loaded into Bluebeam. With luck, these will all be generated out of AutoCAD and you won't have to worry about these. But there are ways to add those in if it's ever needed. But for the studio session, it's more of a luxury than a necessity, whereas the viewports and the custom columns are a necessity. The last thing I'll do before I leave Bluebeam Studio is make sure that I've just saved my changes or saved as a different version of the document. So you guys are probably familiar with the document from Module 1 that said Studio Ready. So I would do that, and if it's NJDOT doing it, I would check the document back into PMRS. And if an LPA or designer has a full license of Bluebeam, their next step would be to upload that document onto PMRS so it's ready to go.